Well, hello everyone. Welcome to the Meno Lounge. I'm Julie Gordon-White, CEO of MenoWell, Menopause, Energy and Protein Bars. I noticed my nails are matching blueberry lemon. What do you think of that? Wasn't intentional, but I like it. I like it. We have a really special conversation today. Hi, Merril. I see you. I'm going to bring you right up. We're talking about funding and we're talking about cannabis. Two super cool things. All right, hold on. Impact midlife and what we're experiencing. And, many of you have asked me, how I started MenoWell and know that we are venture backed by a female led venture capital fund. And so I ran into Merril, and let me know if that's working for you, Merril. I ran into Merril at an event at a slow money conference around food, a wonderful bagel company here in Berkeley, California. And we really hit it off. So I thought Merril would be fantastic guest to come and talk about investing in companies and investing in businesses that matter and have a mission. And then also she is an expert around cannabis. So that could be super cool. Okay, Merril, I've sent you a couple of invites. Hopefully that's working for you. Don't you love Instagram? I'm sending you another one here. It's actually not Instagram. It's just, technology is just one of those things that it's kind of like menopause. You never know how it feels that day. Some days great, other days not so much. All right, so let's see. I'm just gonna keep chatting here. By the way, all month long we have MenoWell bars 30% off on Amazon. Hello, whoop whoop, for Mother's Day. Okay, Merril, it's saying unable to join, so just make sure that you have the latest update on Instagram, because sometimes that can happen, and maybe hop out and come back in. We're just gonna keep chitty chatting here. So I would love to know if you have questions around cannabis, because my sons, not throwing them under the bus, but they're like, Mom, you could really do more with MenoWell if it had cannabis in it. I'm like, no, but so we're going to talk about that. I think I see Merril joining us. Spinning wheel. Do you guys see the spinning wheel? Last week I was speaking with Ingrid, who I love, and we had a horrible connection. Totally my fault. So we're coming up here and we're waiting. Merril is populating. I can see her coming and talking about community. Whoop, there she went again. About community, about investing in women-owned companies or companies that are making a mission-driven impact, and cannabis. All the things, because when you get to midlife, you have a lot of expertise. So let me know if you have a question, and you can stack them up here, and we can have them when Merril is able to hop on. Merril, I'm going to send you another invite here. Where'd you go? All right, talk amongst yourselves. Natasha, you're here. Can you handle the chat? All right, where are you, Merril? Here you are. There you go. I sent you another invite. We can do this, Merril. Oh, I see you again.
Yay!
That's the thing, when you have a technical thing, it's so exciting when it actually works. So there you are. Hi.
Hi. Wow, that was crazy.
Okay,
Oh,
all right, say something now, Merril.
I'm here.
Yay!
Can you hear me? Yes!
Between the two of us today, we'll get it.
Oh, it's not even Mercury retrograde,
I
and we're
know,
just
but I think it's just the high vibration of midlife women doing powerful things. It just makes
oh,
the interwebs just go wonky. What do you think?
I absolutely agree with you. And I am so excited to be here. And I was like freaking out because I'm like, why isn't this connecting?
I believe I just stay the course. It always works out. And then we can have our conversation. So I promised everyone that we're going to be talking about your superpowers, which are impact investing and things that are important and interesting, and your expertise around cannabis and all of that. So I don't even know where we should jump in
Oh,
first.
well,
What do you think? What should we talk about first?
I thought about this clearly because we've had a brief conversation back and forth around this. So number one is, just my background, right? How did I get from here
Yeah.
to there? And
Which is
I'm
what I
just
love
kind of
about midlife women. Like we have these bridges to all these things. Yeah.
and so how did, I am a lifelong learner and I am also an adventurer and I'm always looking forward. So those are like key kind of value systems that I have.
Yeah.
And most of my career, education and anthropology. So always looking at culture, always looking forward, as I said, looking back for what do we learn and what do we bring forward. And so with that, um, I was really early on in the restaurant hotel industry, like leading in on some of the most innovative ways that we eat, farm to table,
Mm.
really moving into the world of where our food comes from, creating food systems, the celebrity chef rise, the celebrity chef now become a brand, now become a product, all of that. So if you want to grow something, put it on a plate, put it in a box, put it on a shelf, anywhere along that. That is kind of where I've been. So very much on food tech, how technology has evolved and how we use that, good, bad, and indifferent, but also how do we really protect our planet? And we really learned during COVID just how um, susceptible and weak our world food systems are, right? So, what is that innovation? Cannabis came along because going back to, it's a plant, it's an active ingredient, and it has, both pharmaceutical medicine attributes that we're still just starting to scrape and learn about, but also, medicinal plant medicine. And for women especially, it is really a godsend. And we have grown up in a stigma. I certainly was one of those, that you had your few select friends that kind of knew that smoked
It's
marijuana
like
and you got high.
menopause, right? We don't talk about it, and now just
But
your
you had
one
your
girlfriend,
crew.
never your mother. Yeah.
Oh, no, like forget about what we do with our daughters now. But it's like, yeah, so all growing up in that stigma. But when I saw that, legal access was happening, and I really wanted to put this lens around, first making it accessible, destigmatizing. And my business partner and I really went in going, oh, we're going to make beautiful plant-based edibles. We're just going to set the world on fire. We're going to make millions of dollars. And back in 2015, that was not reality. Reality was um, we're still fighting these, main things: stoner culture,
Mm.
cartel,
Mm.
and gangsters, right? It was drug war that has disrupted and hurt so many families. We still have people that are incarcerated today, thousands and thousands of families and communities disrupted for something that we now take for granted and can have delivered to my door, and not
Right.
by like some stranger,
Right.
right?
Right.
It's so that became really apparent, but also what became apparent is we didn't have the technology and resources to really manufacture and produce and grow this industry because it's not been treated like all other
Right.
industries. And
Right.
so coming from this whole world of how do you make products, how do you make food, how do you make things safe, we ended up being leader advocates for that whole world around regulatory guidance. So
Oh,
really pushing heavily into good manufacturing practices, GMP, food safety, HACCP, all the things that you trust when you buy something off a shelf anywhere
right.
else, you need to have that. And so, the labels, are they transparent? Can you trace this? And so, we're pretty spoiled here in California and Colorado, like in states that have already been adaptive in the natural products world and kind of really care about these things. But the
Right.
rest of the world didn't. And because we don't have a national you know,
Right. A
access
federal acceptance, right?
guidance. And
Mm-hmm.
so, ahead of FDA and really pushing forward, you have seen what has happened in these markets that don't have legal access, right? That's where you get these really adulterated products. That's where the whole vaping crisis came from. That is not coming from a licensed, regulated facility that is coming, strictly from somebody's garage or bathtub. And there's a huge difference between your cannabis at the gas station and your cannabis in a licensed dispensary. There's just the worlds apart in
Yeah.
that.
Well,
Fast
and
forward. Okay.
I would say about those two things. One, it's kind of mind blowing that cannabis, you buy it in the gas station now. But one of our investors and who helped with our brand, initially, especially, she from a woman-owned company, and she has designed a lot of packaging for the cannabis industry, and it's all beautiful. It's like jewelry boxes almost looking like, and then the dispensary. So she's been a big part of that as well in the San Francisco area of helping normalize this experience, especially for women maybe who are perimenopausal, menopausal, and having a hard time, but wanting to use something natural to calm their bodies. So I love what you're talking about, the importance of regulation and making it safe and feeling comfortable, because who wants to go to the gas station for that? So,
Well, and here's the beauty of where we are today. Yes, it is not perfect, and I mean, I did not make the millions of dollars, right? That didn't happen. But here's the beauty of today. One, technology. We have really gotten unbelievably good at extraction methodologies, clean,
mm,
really purposeful, being able to dose. So the beverage world is such a great way if you're new and you're trying to explore, because um, it is, we know what it's like if I drink a glass of wine. You don't necessarily know if you haven't, experienced this plant since you were in high school or college, right? It's a whole different, and a lot of the flower itself is very potent
mm-hmm,
because again, one of the problems with this, newly legalized thing is they put a lot of value on potency and not on quality.
mm,
So, it's not that same like, dirt weed that you had in college, right? It could be really um intoxicating, and that's not the effect, right? You don't want that super, oh my God, my heart's going to jump out of my body. The world's coming to an end, or I'm like passed out on the couch and I still have kids running around.
right,
Like,
right.
how do I find that? So we're really
Yeah,
close now in
especially on the
dosing.
edibles, right? Consumable side, because I know a lot of women approach cannabis from that direction now. I've had friends who've had edibles and whoa, like way too much, terrible experience,
Mm-hmm.
not good. And I have to tell you this one thing, Merril. So my mom is 82 and she struggles with her sleep. And so she started getting the little brown bag. I'm like, Mom, what is that? She's like, well, I'm taking these gummies. She's so cute. I'm like, okay, my mom's, my little weed granny here on her gummies. But she was really encouraging me. You need to try this. You're going to sleep better. And I was very extremely resistant. No, 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 no. And then over the summer, I guess, we were all there together, and I didn't have many big meetings. We had all this. I'm like, okay, I'll try one. And I should have gone to sleep, because within a half an hour, I didn't go to sleep. I felt like I had a 100-pound sandbag on my head. Not good. But it goes back to that whole dosing thing and how much and what's good for you. So I haven't tried it since. But I love what you're saying, that the
And so this
botanicals
is,
are different, potencies are different for different things, right?
and
So,
there is really good things out there now, and there's a lot of women-owned brands especially, but there's a really, good group of licensed products out there that are really done for different day parts. And
yeah.
they're and they're starting to explore the other cannabinoids, right? So CBN, CBG, THCV, these are all like, and they're mild. Like you can get really low doses of these things, still you can experiment without overly, cautious. So yeah, you can tell people, or people can reach out to me on Merril Gia here, and you can look at some of my videos. But I will also, there's the Buddhist, which is a very new group, but it's, some of the smartest people I know in this industry that have come together and are really validating a lot of products
Mm,
out there. And so there's good things, but you just got to really be able to trust where you're getting from. And trust is always what we're talking about. And at this point in our lives, you know, it's still unfortunate because we just it's just still too new of an industry that we still rely on our friends and our family to guide us.
Right.
But there are resources,
Well, I
and
thought my 82-year-old mom, that she, I couldn't even trust her because she gave me too much. Turns out I should have
but
had
you
a half.
exactly, yeah. Start, as much as I've resisted it, but it is start small and start slow, right? Because again, eating a nano dosed edible, which is precision, is going to, take off in about 10 to 15 minutes. You eat a chocolate bar, it can be an hour, 2 hours. Definitely any baked goods, way longer than that. And so, how often, again, people like, oh, I don't feel anything, I'll just take more. And it's like, no, way too much. So slow, try, go to trusted, resources, go to your local, if you're in a state that has legal access, great. If you don't, there are a lot of products that are also, accessible now that are in the hemp derived that I do trust as well. And again, this whole beverage world is really opening up and you're seeing it all over the country now that, and we're all used to drinking, a light carbonated or non-carbonated beverage, right? And they're really mildly dosed. And again, just kind of, how do I get through my day? And what do I need? Do I need to be lifted or do I need to be asleep? And that's, what we're doing. But, back to our other conversation about like women and investing and time and when you're in your 40s, the great part when you hit 40 is like you're looking good, you're pretty, your career's somewhat settled, you've got your family going, like a lot of things are settled. But you're just like, 40 today is like 20. Like people look amazing, we feel good, we just have better access to things. 50 is still really good, but you're strong and you kind of are at a, don't F with me attitude. It's
Right.
like you're just choosing, your community, you're choosing what you want to be doing. You're
And
really
what you
looking
don't
at
want to
where
be doing,
and who
right?
you,
Eliminating what you don't want.
and then you get 60 and it's like, wow, okay, my time, where do I want to spend my time?
Mm.
How can I add value? What is important to me? And then in your 70s plus, you really now we're seeing a lot of thriving. And so I had two examples that I was thinking I would share about. Um, so I just was introduced to these two women last week that are in their 50s and had, wonderful careers in tech, and their husbands have had, pretty successful careers. And they've realized that, we're our kids are, growing and what do we want, and so it's this question in the 50s, where do I want to spend my time, what do I want to be doing? And they realize that they have an opportunity with the resources that they have to make a difference for entrepreneurs that don't necessarily have access,
Mm.
and particularly in theirs is the Southeast Asian community. Oftentimes underlooked, oftentimes don't know how to, bring things into the country and out, but they're starting this whole educational and funding process. So this is an example of the time in your life doing something with a friend and building a community. The other example I want to give is a woman who's 93. Her name is Eva Haller. She is a
Love it.
Holocaust survivor. She is a philanthropist. She is just one of the most inspirational people I've been in touch with. And when we were all in COVID, she started these Saturday salons and
Mm.
has brought in some of the most interesting people in the arts and journalism, in politics, in policy making. And each Saturday, you are, you know, access to these really stimulating.
Wow.
But what's so important to her is she is thriving. There is nothing missing at this point in her life at 93.
Mm.
And so I just, this range of where we are, how we come together is so important. And it's not, and we're still often figuring it out. But the beauty, again, of where we are right now in this time is we're having conversations like this, the company you've created. We are talking about menopause. Remember when we first met? One of the first, like, you told me what you did. I'm like, oh my God. I think I kind of skipped it because I was on birth
Right.
control pills through it. And you're like, and I couldn't ask my mom and my sister because they had hysterectomies. And you're like, yeah, that's what they did in the day. They just ripped everything out. And you're like,
Yeah.
good luck.
Yeah. Right.
And
Exactly.
now we're having these momentous, and I am meeting again. Let's go back to the younger side. I follow this whole crew of young VC women, and a lot of them are investing in femtech, and a lot of those femtech companies are starting with menopause, even though these young women are still in their very reproductive,
Right.
but they see the disruption, and that's what we never talk about, how
Yeah.
this disrupts. It messes with our brain, obviously, our sleep, our health, our weight, our energy, and just our basic attitude of not believing in ourselves, right? And not
Right.
being forthright. And those of us who work in mostly men dominated industries oftentimes lose that voice during that time.
Right.
And so
For
it
sure.
is just such a valuable thing. So if I leave this conversation day with anything for everybody, is that it's like, just be kinder to yourself,
Mm.
and and don't be afraid to reach out, and then starting communities. Think about where you want to spend your time. If you are in a position to make investments, look at things that are not, take a little bit out of your 401k, or take, and you don't have to be an angel doing tens and thousands and, millions of dollars. $1,000, in a crowd fund, and do it in the
Right.
things you know,
Right.
and then continue to
That are
learn
important
about
and
the things you
aligned
want.
with your values. Yeah.
Yeah, don't start with, oh, this is my friend. She told me the greatest thing. And I'm putting, like, no, like, start with what you know, do the research, and, look for these kinds of communities. Be a mentor. Being a mentor is not just helping, it's really building a relationship with that person. Like, set a guideline in the beginning, like, how can I help you, but what can I do, what can I learn from you,
Mhm.
right? And make it a partnership, and make it so that it really, there's check-ins that are important, right? And not just giving advice, but really, building another type of relationship, which opens up to other relationships.
Right.
And then there's also, um, allies, right? And I'm really been trying to focus my own, destiny on this, and really trying to make a difference. But yeah, I really try to work a lot closely with women in underserved communities, because it's really important to me. Women as a whole, I don't care what industry they're in, we still get less than 8% of all capital that's allocated in the
Isn't
world.
that unbelievable? Still at this point, it's just, and I still think the statistic that less than 4% of women-owned companies grow to $1 million. Like, really? That,
How does that happen?
yeah,
And on top of it, unfortunately, if you're a woman of color, you get less than.
right.
I mean,
Just,
and look at
just have all those numbers probably or more.
well, and
Yeah, just like
there's also
menopause,
women,
women of color have a longer, more difficult experience. Like, what the heck? Okay.
because we don't even invest in research for your own
Yeah.
health care. You have more problems, with pregnancy. You have more problems, overall health issues,
Right.
access to better health care, access to better food,
That's what it comes down
just,
to.
it
Access.
is just access. And now we're fighting in a front, even the women that are making an effort to just invest in women and women of color are being affronted and sued as not
Right.
being equal. It's like,
That's a whole other,
you,
we could have a whole episode on that. On, oh my gosh, yes. But that's why, when I launched MenoWell, originally as the boss of ours, actually, I put in, being in my 50s, I had the advantage of having two businesses before that. So I had dollars, significant dollars to invest in getting the company off the ground. But I also believe in, OPM, other people's money. You can go farther. And why not allow others to benefit in this incredible conversation and impact and opportunity? So I reached out to women at a very low level, at $5,000. And I was told, Merril, that's too low. You don't want to, hey, Alloy, you don't want to have, investors at that level. And I thought, no, I want women to be able to come into this opportunity because they don't hear about investment opportunities on the golf course or the places that men talk about investing in businesses. Or did you hear there's this new company, this opportunity? So I was honored, and I wanted women at that level, not just at 10, 50, $100,000. And we were still able to raise significantly because there's still women that can invest at a significant level, but then there's also women that were excited just to come in at 5,000, and I was thrilled and honored to have them. So
That just, I get chills on that because that just thrills me. And that's exactly what I'm talking about. It's like, we're so disconnected. Obviously, here we are on a screen. We've been doing this for 4 years. It's like insane. But you went to the event where we met. I as a board member for Slow Money Northern California and Food Funded, we really had to find ways to bring entrepreneurs and investors together outside of our big events. And so
yeah,
we've really been trying to find, ways to do that, honoring people that have been, who've received the benefits of being in our organization and around our organization,
yeah,
but also, really reaching out, going, hey, this is informal. Just come and meet new people. Like it's really hard.
yeah,
And it's really hard for younger people. It's really hard for older people. And so, and this is an election year, so I cannot stress enough about voting and making sure everybody can vote. And like, if you could do anything in that, there's ways in which to engage. But it comes back to, you don't have to be alone anymore. And sometimes it seems frightening and it seems a little scary and it seems like, oh, look at me and I'm like, it's great. I'm not, but you know what? When you are feeling your best, it's when you're being inspired around others. So
that's the
go and
thing.
look for a lecture to listen to, or go, something that interests you
It's
to
like the
kind of get
woman
your
that you
thinking.
shared in her 90s. That's the whole point of what I do, what you do, is creating this space where we as women can feel vital and excited and energized, whether that's nutrition or investing, but it's continuing to live your dreams. I really feel, whether that's
Mm.
having salons or becoming an entrepreneur or an investor or a gazillion things in between. That's what keeps us young, whatever, young, energetic. I prefer energetic and vital, because sometimes in youth that's sort of overrated on certain, like that was
And
good.
relevant.
It
When
totally.
people say, oh, careers are really hard, jobs are hard, right? But it's like if you have an interest and you're willing to learn, and, we all have to be digital citizens and we've learned to do it. It
Yeah.
doesn't all have to be crafted and it doesn't all have to be perfect.
Yes.
But it's like just reaching out, telling your story,
Yes. That's a thing.
liking or resharing something that you found important. All of those things bring us together.
Yeah. Community. And if you're struggling, maybe a little CBD will help.
A little CBD would help.
A
A
little
little mixed
CBD
in
will
with
do
chi
ya.
chi will help as well.
And there's a lot of
But
female founders. We're kind of tying all this together for those of you who've joined us. We're talking about all of Merrill's superpowers around impact investing, and then her expertise around CBD as well. And I know in perimenopause, especially when symptoms and the experience can be really tricky, that is just another tool in the toolbox that you may consider. So very, very cool. All right. I know you've talked about some things that you would do just to kind of pull all this together, just some ideas you would like to leave our listeners with around all things superpower Merril Gilbert, and then also how they could reach out to you if they want to talk about CBD or funding or what due diligence is and all those good things that you all know all
absolutely.
about.
Yeah, or if you're getting ready to pitch, my pitch practice is really effective. People have raised millions, and it's like we're in and out. I'm not here to build your deck. I'm not, but I am here to like get your confidence and get your story really focused. So when you're in a room and you figure out who's in front of you, you know exactly what you want to say, and that is so true. So what are the things that I want? Number one, don't be afraid of cannabis, but seek out legal, regulated good product. And if you're not in a state that doesn't have that access, there are resources for that. There are a lot of women-founded companies that are doing phenomenal work, and so we really want to be able
Right.
to make that accessible. So again, wherever you can, always, get a women-owned company. Support
Right.
women, promote women, protect women. We have to do that as community. Look for ways to build community. That is, no matter how. We don't all belong to churches anymore and synagogues and other places of worship. So in a year like this, find other things, go to lectures that interest you, go to community events, just see what's going on around you. um, Look, if you want to invest, you know, don't think you have to do these really big things. Look for things that you know about, look for things that are interesting to you. These crowdfunding sites, WeFunder, etc., really have some interesting things. Just look around.
Yeah.
$1,000 can make a huge difference. $5,000 is such an honorable and important, appreciated contribution to a starting company. Be a mentor,
Right.
and a mentor, where you're learning to make it an equal opportunity for you. And again, just, always find ways to be an ally, particularly in communities that are underserved,
Mm.
particularly in people of need. And for your own personal self, don't be afraid to reach out if you need to be supported. We are here, all of us, really trying to figure it out and navigate it, and we're not alone. And,
Right.
having conversations like what you've created just fill me up, because this is such an important time in our lives, and we have for so long gone without any real, true knowledge or access and understanding.
I love that. It's so good. What really shines through to me is that when you are a midlife woman, you've experienced so many things. We've had so many careers and touched so many different worlds. And so what you're bringing is this wonderful soup of all these good things, between funding and cannabis and all and community, which is such a beautiful blend. So thank you for that. So good. So good.
Thank you.
Merril, I want to ask you, as I ask all my guests, what does MenoWell mean to you?
Mean to me.
And your doggy?
It I know. Of course, the door, like, doesn't matter what you do,
It
they
doesn't
always
matter.
deliver right when you're doing this.
Never
What
fails.
does it
I
mean to
love it.
me?
All dogs
Number one
welcome.
it is about menopause, right? Having been MenoWell means my wellness.
Mm.
It means my overall being, and that's what I love about it, right? It is, connecting my health, my wellness, and my state of mind
Mm.
at a time where it seems not so easy.
Yeah, beautiful. That's exactly right. Not so easy right now for many people. Not so easy. The whole being, that's what we're all about, all of us. So thank you. You talked about so many good things today. So make sure you go back and get all the tips about the cannabis, how to approach it.
Reach out to me on LinkedIn, reach out to me here on Instagram at Merril Gill, I think it is. Yeah, you'll find me.
You'll
But
find
Merril
Merril.
Gilbert, I love it. Thank you.
Thank you for being here and sharing your wisdom. Really, I really appreciate all the work you do. And going back to what you said about community, the fact that I went out to an event and I met you just randomly and we had so many things connected. You just never know. So being community, ladies, it matters.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you, Julie.
Thank
Have
you,
a
Merril.
wonderful day.
You too. Take care, everyone. Be well. Bye-bye.